was a little younger, I enjoyed off-road biking, like on bike trails in the woods. Living in rural Massachusetts, I always did a lot of exploring, usually on my bike. One of those many days that I was feeling adventurous, I got on my bike and rode down Irving Street, the road my parents' old house sat on. This road went a long way down, and it basically just ran through trees in all directions, with the occasional farmland. I'd usually cut off this road onto an intersecting road, or I'd just ride into the woods through one of the dirt paths. This particular day, I kept going further than usual on Irving Street, hoping to find these cool bike trails one of my friends told me about a few days prior. He said the entrance would be a little past a deer crossing sign. I didn't find the sign though, but I did find a trail that veered off the road into the woods. It was wide enough to easily navigate on my bike. So I turned off Irving Street and onto the dirt trail, which immediately dropped to a decline, allowing me to instantly pick up speed. I still don't know if these were the trails my friend was actually talking about or not, but they were fun to ride on as they were very hilly and windy. I just rode around the apparent maze of trails, having fun exploring, until I started to get thirsty and realized I had forgotten my water bottle at home. Of course. So I decided to cut my bike ride short and start looking for the way back to the road. I rode around the trails trying to remember which way I came from, but it was literally a maze. Irving Street was a very quiet road, so hoping to hear the sound of traffic was kind of pointless. This was back when flip phones were a thing, and I didn't even have a cell phone yet, honestly, so I couldn't exactly just whip out my iPhone to look for directions. Then I realized I wasn't alone in the woods. There was a woman not too far away from me, just standing there watching me, kinda creepily. She was older, probably 60s. I called out to her asking for help because I'm lost. She replied in a low voice, yet I could somehow make out what she said. She said, "You shouldn't be in here." I apologized and asked for directions one more time, but she said, "Get out now," in a disturbingly sadistic way. I wasn't staying there another second. I rode off down the trail, resuming trying to find the road again. But from that moment forward, every 5 minutes or so, I'd see that lady, not too far away, always looking at me. This went on for some time, to the point that I got so uncomfortable that I hid behind this giant stone for a while once I lost sight of her. I waited for a long time, and it was getting dark quickly. I swear I was starting to freak out. Another half hour of trying to navigate this maze, and it was getting too dark to even make my way around on the bike. I could barely see the trails now. I was so tired I had to sit and take a breather, but something in my gut told me I was being watched. Like, you ever just get that feeling that you can sense the presence of someone else around you? I was right, because the old woman's voice broke the silence. She said, "Come here," but in a low voice, almost a whisper. This meant she was currently closer to me than I was comfortable with. I couldn't see a thing. I held myself together until she started making these cackling sounds. And that's when I lost it. I threw my bike to the floor. That was the last time I ever saw it. I started screaming, running through the woods. The nightmare of trying to find my way out of the woods finally ended when I saw the lights from a house not too far away. I ran as fast as I could to it and rang the doorbell. An older man answered the door and asked him for help, for some water and a ride or something. Thankfully he was nice and happily offered to give me a ride to my house. He seemed particularly freaked out when I told him about the creepy woman in the woods. He said 3 people had gone missing in our county just that month alone. He also knew the trails I was talking about and said they were not privately owned by any woman, making the situation even weirder. I of course was furious about leaving my bike behind, but I had to get out of there. That woman had been stalking me riding on my bike for potentially hours. She was basically right in front of me in that pitch blackness.